Okay, you have the Washington Commanders. So to me, the team just looks very talent-wise looks very mediocre. Like they have a potentially good defensive line, but their secondary and linebackers aren't the greatest. And offensively, they do have some talent, Terry McLaurin and Gibson, but they don't have a lot of it. And most of their talent is like top 10, but not top 5. So their team is okay and definitely can compete, but I'm not sure how far to go. So your first game versus the Jaguars, they did do a lot in free agency, like bringing Kirksey, bringing that linebacker from Atlanta, and they did give Trevor Lawrence some weapons, and they did get a new coach. But the Jaguars, they have a bunch of new pieces. Week 1, it's going to look ugly for the Jaguars, and the Commanders, they have the same coach. They still have Ron Rivera, and they still have defensive line that can cause problems. So I'm going to take the football team. They have Week 2 versus the Lions. Lions, I think they're definitely a trap game for the football team, if you can call it that. Lions have home field advantage, and they're still starting Jared Goff, an experienced quarterback. And Washington's are starting Carson Wentz, who I'm not sure how well he will do. And Lions, I don't know. I just like Campbell better. And Lions have home field advantage. They're both teams. I think Washington's more talented, but I think the football team is going to fall into the Lions. You have them versus the Eagles. I think Carson Wentz is going to get his revenge. Talent wise, I think the Eagles are a lot more talented. They have so much talent, like Fletcher Cox. Their offensive line is the best. They got A.J. Brown and football team. I don't think they can compete offensively or defensively, but Carson Wentz, I think, is going to be his revenge game. I'm going to take the football team. Then you have them versus the Cowboys. Even losing Cooper, I still think the Cowboys are the better team in general, and they have home field advantage. The Cowboys, they still have CeeDee Lamb, they have Ezekiel Pollard, Dak Prescott's good, and I think Dallas also has a defense that can cause problems for the football team's offense, like with Micah Parsons, Trevon Diggs, and I just don't think the football team has enough firepower to compete on the team. And you have them versus the Titans. One weak spot on the football team I can see is their linebackers. Like the Titans have Derrick Henry, which I think will cause problems for the football team's defense. And Titans, I think, have an underrated defense, and I think the Washington football team's offense will struggle. So I'm gonna take the Titans. Then you have Denver versus Chicago. It's a Thursday night. Chicago does have home field advantage, but I just don't think Chicago's team is talented. I think Justin Fields will struggle versus the football team's defensive line, and that'll be enough for the football team to win the game. So I'm gonna take the Commanders. Actually, I keep calling the football team for whatever reason, but the Commanders, I think they'll win. Then you have Denver versus the Packers. Packers, um, they still have Aaron Rodgers. I don't think the Commanders' defense is good enough to stop them. And defensively, I think Green Bay has a great defense, and Commanders, even with Wentz, won't be enough to beat them. I'm gonna take the Packers. Then you have Denver versus the Colts. Colts, another team with a very strong running game. I've already said what I said about the Commanders linebackers, and Matt Ryan can cause problems, but I think the football Commanders can contain them. Defensively, Colts have a very solid defense, and I don't think the Commanders' offense can carry them. So I'm taking the Colts. Then you have Denver versus the Vikings. Commanders have home field advantage, and the Vikings still have talent like Jefferson and Thielen. It's going to be a closer game, and I think the Vikings are going to fall for the trap, so I'm going to take the Commanders. But Week 10 against the Eagles, their second game, and like I said, the Eagles have so much talent. I don't think the Eagles can be swept by the Commanders. I'm going to take the Eagles. Then you have Denver versus the Texans. Definitely a trap game. Definitely a trap game for the Commanders. Texans, they do have Davis Mills, but their team just isn't very talented right now. And I think this is going to be a closer game, but I think the Commanders' defensive line will cause problems, and Commanders' defense will cause problems for Davis Mills and the rest of the Texans' offense. So I'm with the Commanders. Then you have them versus the Falcons. Falcons, another rebuilding team. I just don't think they're that talented right now. And Falcons' defense, I think, is not good enough to stop the Washington's offense. So I'm gonna take the Commanders with the home field advantage. Then you have Denver versus the Giants. Giants, it's a divisional game. Giants do have some talent on their team, like the wide receiving course and their interior defensive line, but I don't think it's enough. But it's going to be close, and I take the Giants because I think they'll split. And you have their bye, and then Washington has home field advantage coming off a bye. I don't think they'll let the Giants win, make them. I don't think they'll let the Giants sweep them. Divisional game, I think they'll split. I'm gonna take the Commanders. Then you have a short week on a Saturday night. They have to travel to the West Coast with San Francisco. San Francisco is a huge advantage, and I think San Francisco's more talented. Their defensive line composed of Nick Bosa, and they have Fred Warner, and I think the San Francisco's defense will cause problems for Washington's offense. Offensively, I think the Commanders can slow down the 49ers offense, but I'm going to take the 49ers. And you have Denver versus the Browns. Browns have such a talented team, and Watson may or may not be starting. I think he'll start. I think he'll start by week 17. And with that, I don't think the football team Washington's defense is enough to slow down the Browns, and the Browns also have a talented defense. I'm gonna take the Browns. Then you have them against the Cowboys. Cowboys have a really talented team, and they usually play well um, against the Commanders. And I think the Cowboys are going to do a sweep. So Indianapolis going 7-10, 2-4 in the division, 5-4 at home, and 2-6 away.